are we? Randy here. Hopefully everyone's doing well. It's been crazy hot here in Colorado. My guest tonight also lives in Colorado. We'll try not to spend too much time talking about the crazy heat we've had so far this summer and everything else. But hopefully everyone's having a good day. We're going to get right to it. We're going to bring up my guest tonight. We're going to add her here, and we have Maria Gallucci. See, I knew I was going to mess that up. I always do. Hi,
That
Maria.
was
How are
really
you
good
doing?
though.
Yeah.
Good, how are you?
People ever say, "Are you one of the characters in the gaming world?" You know, the Nintendo
Gucci's.
stuff. You know, my dad was like,
Everyone always made fun of us that they were the Gucci's.
the Gucci's. Well, then money's never a problem if you're a Gucci, right? Yeah, that's
Right.
plenty of that. So, well, we're glad to have you on tonight. Hopefully, you've been staying cool with our hot weather here in Colorado.
Yeah, it's been crazy hot. I'm surprised. I just came back from Nashville for a wedding and it was colder there than it was here. I'm like, why is it so hot in Colorado?
Yeah, Nashville this time of year can be pretty humid and pretty hot.
Yeah.
I do the Killer Nashville event each year, and we were there a couple years ago, and it didn't rain until the last day we were there. We were there for 2 weeks because we were there for Killer Nashville and BoucherCon. They were both in Nashville, and but it was over 100 degrees like 3 straight days in Nashville, and even the people living there say, "Wow!" Plus the humidity. It's like,
Oh
no
my.
thanks. But yeah, we've had. I think we maybe hit 100 again today. So, and they're talking next weekend more 100-degree weather. It's like, wow, it's a very hot for us this year and crazy dry. So, but anyway, enough about the weather. Give us a little background on yourself. Tell people some of the important stuff about Maria.
So I'm Maria Gallucci. So I'm a CODA, which is a child of deaf adults. So I was raised by two deaf and hard of hearing parents. So
I hear your
ASL was
dog
actually
playing
my
with a
first language.
toy.
I know that's Ray actually jumped off my lap. I have a pug, everybody, and he's a puppy, so he might come up here.
That's okay. So yes, so you're children of deaf parents. So that's obviously a challenge, and I've always been very fascinated with the sign language world and all that. So, what was that like growing up?
So for me, I feel like it was my normal because I never noticed that anything was different because we always just signed, and there were six of us kids, and so I think when I realized that it was different was when I was in kindergarten at a field trip and sitting underneath the tree with my friend, and my mom had walked across the parking lot and she was signing to me. And so when Christy had said, "Oh, does she not speak?" And I'm like, "No, like they don't speak. Do everybody speak?" Like, and so for me, I think that's when I realized that, oh, my normal was like something different.
So you said you had five siblings, six siblings.
Yeah, yep. There's six of us all together.
So were all of them hearing, or did any of them have hearing issues?
No, we're all hearing. Yeah,
Okay.
so both my parents are just deaf, and it is actually we do have the hereditary trait of being deaf, but all of us end up being hearing.
So, and you said on your website, I saw that you basically learned how to sign before you really even spoke English. So how did you learn that? It was just kind of just you learn books, you know, I mean, obviously it's like a challenge, I would say, but for you, obviously it wasn't that big a deal.
Yeah, my parents, or my mom always said that we learned to talk through the TV. And so even like one of my siblings didn't even speak until she was almost 8 years old. Like, so we always just signed to each other. And then we've always gone to like speech therapy. I've always stuttered my entire life. So I've always gone to speech therapy, but like all of us were in there so we can learn how to talk.
Yeah, so that's it's amazing. So what what did you find what did you do that kind of helped alleviate stress in the household and stuff? Were you a big book reader at the time? What did you do to help yourself with all
I
things
love
growing up?
Yeah, exactly. I loved reading books. So every time I read books, I always get into the character. So for me, like I can watch movies without the sound on because I can read lips as well. But for me, it's just more therapeutic because you can put yourself in their position and their story. And so for me, I've always loved reading books.
So who were some of the authors that were your go-tos? Who did you enjoy? What types of books even?
Mysteries. I loved like murder mysteries, and I still watch Lifetime to this day. I love that show.
Lots of mystery stuff. So when you were reading, was that a way for you to escape, or was it just enjoyment for you? How was that for you?
I think it was a way to escape because you can put yourself in like their perspective and like a different world. I felt like so. I always thought because I always read Fear Street. I don't know if anybody ever remembers that like series, but R.L. Stein was the author, and that's what I like grew up with. And so for me, I was able to like put myself on the street that it was on and all that stuff, which is probably my favorite.
Squeak, squeak. So were your parents were your parents and your siblings, were they big readers as well?
Um, my mom always read actually, but she always read the romance novels, like the is it Harlequin or those
Sure.
ones? Like she
Yeah, the
always read
romance
those
ones,
ones.
sure, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that's the one that she liked. But for me, I've always loved like mysteries and suspenses and stuff.
Yes, the trashy Harlequin novels with the
I know,
big
yeah, yeah. My
muscly
mom definitely loved
men.
that.
Yeah, they always had big muscles. Yeah, I actually have a few authors. I've had a couple authors on here who were Harlequin authors, and they have a couple of different divisions these days. And she's a mystery author, but it's a Harlequin spin-off. But she says the book has to be about half romance and half mystery, so she has to make sure she has a good balance, or they get upset with her. So.
Was that a real person? Like the actual, like, do you remember the guy with like the blonde long hair?
Oh, you mean the
Yeah,
men?
the
The
man.
covers?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was. Well, a lot of times it was. Oh gosh, I'm blanking on his name. He's old. He's an old guy. He's still around these days. He did a lot of the covers for them. Why I'm not thinking. I'd have to. It'll pop into my head in the middle of the show, and I'll remember it. But yeah, a lot of the
Fabio. Wasn't that
Fabio.
his
Yeah,
name?
Fabio.
Yeah.
There we go. Yeah, Fabio did a lot of the covers for them. Yeah. And I do an event in Deadwood, South Dakota every year, and they have male models that they bring in for some of the romance authors that are there. Robert Kelly is a pretty well known cover model, and he's on a lot of the books and stuff. But they're always there, and sometimes it's bare chested, sometimes it's just their muscles and tattoos and whatever else. But I know one of the events I did, the lady had a poster of him across from me on the table, and it was just from his neck down. So he had his six pack abs and everything. And I told her during the event, I said, "You're making me feel insignificant here, sitting here, looking at that poster all this whole event." So it's pretty funny, but yeah, they some of them make a pretty good living at it on doing
Out of the covers. Yeah.
yeah. So so you like to read. So did you also like to write as well? And when you were younger, or did that come later in life?
It was younger because I still remember like sitting underneath the window while I was reading, and I'm thinking, I'm going to become an R.L. Stein. So I thought like I was going to become like this mystery writer. And so I've always loved to write from when I was little. And so I think it's hard too because I don't spell very well. And so for me, when I was starting to write, like all my words were like misspelled, but I was like, I'm going to write something someday.
Well, that's what spell checkers are for, right? That's where computers come
We
in.
didn't have that back then.
I know I was the same way. I started typing on a manual typewriter and had the little white correction ribbon on there, to correct me.
I
Well,
remember those. What
so
happened in
do
those
I.
days?
Yeah, yeah. So then we had electric typewriters, and then we got computers and stuff. So yes, but spell checkers have helped a lot. So who were some of the mystery authors you had mentioned? One that you enjoyed reading. Any that still stick out? And do you still have some of those books?
I do actually have like a whole bunch right there. In fact,
Yeah.
so I love James Patterson and Stuart Woods, And then is it Frida McFadden? Her books are like amazing.
And then
What are your favorite books? Like, what do you like to read?
oh, mystery and crime. That's what
Oh
I
yeah, me too. Yeah.
yeah, and then behind me here, you can see I got a big
Oh,
stack
I
of
know. I know. I wish I could turn my camera so I could show you all my
yeah,
books right there.
yeah, including some of my books. All my books are mystery and crime and thrillers as well. So yeah, that I've written. So yeah, that's a genre that I've always read forever and ever. So it's a I've always enjoyed those genres, and I also watch TV that's like that and movies I like that. But
Me too.
I also like rom coms sometimes and things like that. But I don't know that I could ever write those type of stories. Those are a little more challenging for me to write and stuff. So some of that early stuff that you wrote, do you still have any of that filed away somewhere? Do you keep that on?
So I think Raised in Silence was like 15 years in the making. So I got a new phone and then I went back to the notes because you know how it like updates your phone and everything. And I saw like stuff that was from 15 years ago, and I'm like I like every year I'm like okay this is I'm gonna put it out there. I'm gonna put it out there and. You still don't do it. And then finally, I'm like, okay, I'm not going to have it on next year's New Year's resolution list. And so, but it was amazing to see like the old stuff that you're writing 15 years ago versus today. And I think that was one of my favorite things about writing the book was all of your memories that you had in the past.
So you said it was on your phone. So it
Yes, on my notes.
was it something you scanned or was it handwritten or do you
It was
type?
on the notes. No, I have horrible handwriting. I would never even be able to read my handwriting.
You and me
No,
both.
it was in the notes app.
Yeah.
And I was surprised that it saved too. I didn't even know that those things saved. Oh, good,
Oh
thank God it
yeah.
did
Yeah,
because it helped.
pretty much. Yeah. See, I've got my little notebook here that I write my
Yeah,
little,
she's like, right. Oh, yeah,
and
there'd be
I
no
because
way I'd be
sometimes
able
I
to
can't read
read.
my handwriting either. So it's
Oh, no, this is my handwriting. Can anyone read it? There's no way. Like, no one can read my handwriting.
it's shorthand, right? That's why you could read it.
Yeah,
Nobody else could read it, right?
we know what we're saying while we write it down.
All right. So I want to talk a little bit about being a child of deaf parents. And it talk about you say CODA is a term that I saw a lot on there, children of deaf adults and stuff. So the sign language has always been intriguing to me, and sometimes you see movies, you might see someone signing, and I see how fast they sign sometimes, and it's kind of like my brother-in-law's wife who's Hispanic and she's speaking Spanish and she speaks so fast and I can't I mean I can't I know a little bit but I can't even keep up with it. So that type of language. So is the sign language is it like an evolving thing or is it a pretty set in stone language and how long I mean there must be how many signs are there? There must be just thousands and tens of thousands.
There is. So every country has their own sign. So I do ASL, which is American sign
Mhm.
language, but everybody else has their own sign. So it's just like every language that it comes from. And for me, I talk fast and I sign fast. And so, but I don't. I obviously stutter when I talk, but I don't stutter when I sign, which I think is like a little unique. But but I like when I spell, I try to spell it quickly because I don't know what I'm spelling because I don't know how to spell very well.
Well, and I
But they
find
still
that
get the
interesting
gist.
too, the spelling of the words too. That's
Hmm.
incredible watching that.
Yeah.
So how, I mean, all those signs, I mean, how many signs are there? And does the dictionary keep getting bigger, just like the English language dictionary getting larger as well?
I think so because like when my son went to Dover, he took ASL for one of his foreign languages in school, and a lot of those signs were completely different than what I sign. So I think that signing in every language evolves like when you're going through it, and because he is a 4.0 student and so he still graduated with a 4.0, but when I helped him take his test for the sign language I'm like oh this will be so easy like you'll pass this, and he got an F because I was teaching him like the sign, and it was different than what the schools were teaching. Thank goodness the teacher let him retake it.
So is there like street language too? I mean, there's, the
Yeah, like slang.
word,
Yeah,
all that as well. Yeah.
yeah.
So there's, slang, obviously expressions just like the English language that maybe some people might know and others might not know when you sign.
Yes, and there's also like I'm from the East Coast, so I'm from New Hampshire, and so my parents are from New Hampshire and Connecticut. So our sign back there is different than Colorado. So a lot of the sign in Colorado was a little bit different than back east, and so there's a lot of accents to the sign as well.
And obviously it takes a while to pick that up. So it's like if somebody's saying signs something you don't understand, did you just kind of figure it out in the context of the sentence, or how does that work?
Yeah, you do. So you either I can read lips. So for me, I can actually see what they're trying to
Sure.
say. So ASL is definitely, or any sign I think is very expression and body language and everything. And so for me, I'm able to understand it even if I don't know the sign because I can tell what they're saying and put it together. Which I think that a lot of people don't realize that. Like you've got to just like put stuff together.
So I saw on your website you helped your parents buy their first home when you were 12 years old, dealing with their uh, being able, helping to translate, I'm assuming, right? Everything, the negotiations and all that. So is that kind of when you decided that's why I want to be a real estate agent? Because that's what I see is you're a real estate broker and
Yeah, I think so because I went in there thinking that we were just going to go like we're just going to go sign on the house. We're going to be fine. But then when they got there, there was no interpreter. There was nothing. So they were asking them to sign like a bunch of papers that I didn't even know because I'm 12 years old. And so you can tell that they were very confused. And so I jumped in and started interpreting for them. So I always thought that I'm never going to let them ever feel like not let anybody feel like they did at that moment.
well, yeah, because anytime you're signing those documents, that's the thing they do. This document is this, and this. Because most people don't read the whole thing. I mean, some of those
Mhm.
documents are crazy long. So yeah, they would have to tell you, and then you would have to interpret it to your parents. So I'm sure that kind of made the process a little bit longer as well, since they didn't have anybody.
Yeah, and so I've been a huge advocate for that, and it took, I mean, just maybe if I would say maybe 10 or 15 years ago, they're like you have to have an interpreter at closing now, which you didn't they you didn't have to have one there, which I don't even in my head even understand because I don't understand how you can make like help them feel like they're a part of the transaction when you're not even speaking their language.
Yeah, that's probably part of the American Disabilities Act. Is that where it's required
Yes,
now?
yeah, it is. But the deaf and hard of hearing community wasn't part of it from the beginning. Like it just now became part of the ADA. And even I still have to fight with the title companies now saying that, oh, we're not paying for the interpreter. I'm like, well, you have to. It's like part of the ADA law. And so even now it's still a fight to this day.
And I'm sure there are people out there that specialize that do the signing that do just for the closings. I'm assuming, correct for that.
Yeah, it has to be a legally certified interpreter.
Right. So they would need to be licensed and proper training and everything. Yeah. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So yes, so you're real estate broker now, and you focus on those who are deaf, hard of hearing, LGBTQ community folks. So what challenges do they run into that being in those different, I don't want to say minorities, but I guess technically they are technically minorities, but yeah.
I think being left out and feeling isolated. So I feel like those a lot of our communities and cultures like we're not inclusive. And so for me, it's very important to me to make someone feel like that they belong. And I think that a lot of them don't feel like that because we don't make them feel like that.
And were there brokers out there that wouldn't, in the past, wouldn't deal with people in those categories, and they would say, "No, I'm sorry, we can't do that"? Or, I mean, I would be think that would be against the law these days, but I'm sure
Yeah,
someone might be going, "No, I'm sorry, we aren't, we don't have that, we don't take care of things like that, where we just don't."
I think that they will refer them off to somebody, which is actually a good idea. Like if you
Sure.
don't feel comfortable in that community or helping somebody, then you should definitely refer them to somebody who would feel comfortable doing that. And so I think that a lot of people are afraid of the unknown, and
Sure.
so they feel like they're going to make a mistake or whatever. And that's why my motto has always been just try, because like if you're just trying with them, that can make a huge difference in their life, and you don't know how you're going to change their life by doing that.
Yeah, absolutely. That's really good. So, and so tell us about Dove. I saw that on there. I'm assuming it's Dove, Dove. So what's that? What's that? So that's an organization. It sounds like you founded.
No, I'm part of the board, and
Pardon.
so that is for the domestic violence. It's overcoming violence by empowerment, and so it's for people who are deaf and who deal with domestic violence. So we try to get them out of it, because a
Yeah,
lot of like I feel like that the deaf and hard of hearing people, they don't feel like they have a voice, and they should. In that sense, yeah, not literally.
and obviously that can be an issue. Obviously, with someone who's deaf can be mistreated, obviously, or misunderstood, or whatever. And so, like you said, the people, the unknown, that people kind of go, oh,
Yeah, they're fine, or they'll just let them go. But I mean, to me, nobody should feel like they are left out, abused, or anything like that. So I'm like a very huge advocate for that, for sure.
All right, so let's talk about your book. We're going to throw it up on the screen here, and Raised in Silence. So give us a little bit of background on this book, of how you put it together, and obviously a labor of love, but maybe it wasn't labor, but it was certainly love.
It's 15 years in the making.
Yeah,
So
a labor of love. Yeah.
my son actually designed the cover, and he's actually the person on the cover. And so the rose covering the ear on the deaf side is for a reminder that hearing is only one way to experience the world. And so when one sense is not there, or gone, the others take over. And so, and then the color on the deaf side is also for the culture and vibrant side of it. And then the black and white and the eyes, or the eyes being hidden, is for a lot of our harmful mindset of how we view people who are different, basically.
So is that a sign that's on the
That's a
cover
death.
now?
Yeah, it says
Yeah,
death.
that's the death sign. Okay, that's
Yeah.
kind of what I thought, but I am not hardly an expert. You don't, I'm not around it enough. So, like I said, it's always interesting to see. So, would you consider this a biography about your life, or is it a kind of a compilation of other people that you've talked to when you put the book together?
No, I think it's just making awareness to people that it's okay to be different, and if you just try with people, you can make someone feel better than they do. So it's like it's got stories in there of like my growing up, because that's what created it. But it's not a memoir. It's just a book of how you could be more inclusive for people.
So, how many? So, I saw it was about 150 pages or so. So, and you said 15 years. So, how did you kind of finally put this all together and say, okay, I'm going to publish this now?
I didn't want it on my 2026 New Year resolution list. Like literally, like every year I've had it on there. I'm like,
Yeah.
this is not going to be on it next year.
Yeah. So is it something that you've just gradually had written over time, or is it just something that you just kind of pieced together and you said 15 years, or has it just been on your mind and you finally just said, I'm going to sit down and write this?
It was 15 years of stories. And
Yeah.
so of like thoughts and stories and my son's gay. So when he had come out and he had come out so young and then I already saw like the deaf and hard of hearing community get isolated and be treated differently than everybody else. And then when I saw Rian being bullied, I was like, okay, this is like somehow this has to stop. And so like so even if I just change one person's perspective or one person's life, then that's what the book is worth.
So yeah, excuse me, you have a list of, on your site about, people, uh, what this book would be good to read for, book clubs, things like that, all the different types of stuff. So who do you think this book is kind of targeted at?
I think it's targeted at business leaders and anybody who wants to make the workplace or their own environment welcoming. And so, because it's got a lot of tips and a lot of like perspectives that a lot of people I think feel like don't think of. And then I think that's one of the things that a lot of people have said after reading the book that it's not been with the deaf and hard of hearing community is that, oh, I never thought about it in that perspective.
Yeah, I saw saw on your website too, you talked about DEI, which has kind of become this supposedly dirty word these days, which I hate that because
Yeah,
DEI is silly. Diversity and inclusion and equality is an important thing, and I thought that was a lot of what this country was founded on. But some people, don't look at it that way. So, but do you feel like there's a lot of that in here too, where we've got to learn to be more accepting of other people, whether different races, different handicaps, whatever.
100%. And I've got actually a few backlash because of that the DEI, and they're like, well, I don't know if you want to use that word. And I said, well, I do want to use that word
Right.
because like that's the entire importance of the book. It's like to be equal, to have inclusion, and it's okay to be different. Like, and I feel like everyone does have like they think that that's a bad word, and it's not, because all of us should be inclusive, because what makes you think you're better than anybody else? Because you're not. No one is.
Well, and it's like the term woke too. They turn that one into supposedly a bad word too. I think of it in similar capacity of DEI. So how did you go about publishing this book? Are you traditionally published? Are you self-published? How did you go about doing that, and how did that process go for you?
It was with Peaceful Profits, so that's why I liked you using them, because I like the word peaceful profits. And so for me, like, so I don't know if it's like traditionally or self-published, but it was published by them. But it went through like an 8-layer editing phase. Like that was like the longest thing I think of the entire book, because you give them all the content and then they've got to like make it like self-help, I guess, in a way, because they have to like. But the hardest part about writing a book was actually the cover. It was seriously the cover. That was the hardest part about finding the book, because I already had the book already done, and then the cover was so hard to do. And I think that a lot of people don't realize all of the stuff that you put into writing a book, because there's a lot of layers.
So you said your son did the cover. Were there several different revisions before you finally finished on one?
They said that a lot of authors submit their own covers and they never accept it all. And then ours was the first one that they've ever accepted.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, because sometimes depending on the publishing company, they're like, no, we want the cover, this. So since you designed it, I'm assuming you own that cover, so it's your cover, right? So if
Yeah.
something happened, you would get it back, I would hope.
Yeah, I guess that's true. I never thought about it like that.
Yeah, I would hope so. You
But I
design.
just remember you were saying about looking at the book covers and all that stuff. Rian had asked me, he said, or someone had asked him, so what do you think about like seeing your mom's book out there? He's like, well, it's kind of weird to see my own face everywhere. Like, okay, well, you designed the cover.
Yeah. Well, and you probably can't absolutely tell it's him. Anyone, maybe people that know him might know that it's him, obviously, but
Yeah.
it's not obvious because you can't really see his eyes, and it's kind of from the nose down. So yeah. So, how long did it take him to design the cover?
It wasn't like, it wasn't that long. So he's very, very, very talented when it comes to art. Like
Mhm.
he's very creative. He does cosplay and he does makeup and he does drag shows and everything. So he's very creative in the first place. So the second he sent me that, it wasn't this one actually. That wasn't the original. He sent me one of just like himself, just like not in makeup or anything, and
Mhm.
did the cover. And I was like, Adrian, that is like so good. Like that is, you were like spot on. And so for him, I think he had a vision and he wanted to do the deaf. He had the vision of the darkness and the light. And it was amazing.
Yeah, so I mean, it's a really, really good cover. I mean, it definitely stands out. He did a great job. So maybe he'll design your next cover.
Exactly. I told him he's got to have to.
Yeah,
Like, you better start thinking about it now.
he'll give you the family discount, right?
Right?
Because
You're
cover
like,
design,
I have to pay him for that one. I didn't even pay him for that one.
so are obviously you're a busy in the real estate world, and it sounds like you're part of a lot of different organizations. So you're a busy person. So when do you find time to write? And
I think a lot of my thoughts come because I drive a lot because I'm a real estate agent. So I think a lot of my thoughts come from when I'm driving. Like, and then I just think about stuff and then try to like say it into my notes or write it down when you're not driving. Nobody do that. That's not highly recommended.
yeah, nobody ever does anything like that while they're driving, right? Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah, I
Don't
think
do
that a
that.
lot of like thoughts come either when it's late at night and you're just still up in the middle of the night and or when you're just like driving. Where do all your thoughts come from? Like where do you find your thoughts coming from?
Oh, they're always in
All
my head.
over.
Oh
Yeah.
gosh. Sometimes they haunt me even sometimes. So I've written a couple of serial killer books, and so I have some chapters in there from the killer's point of view. So I'm actually in his character, writing. So when those scenes were in my head, I couldn't sleep at night. Once I got up and got down and I wrote them, I was fine. Get them out of my head. But yeah, so they're always there, and I say at least for me, my characters are there with me as well in the room. Sometimes I don't know, you know. In your case, yours is more of a nonfiction book, but you like mysteries. So is there mystery books in the future for you? Have thoughts of writing something down the road?
I I wish, but I don't know if I have the creativity for that. Like I would like I admire like authors like you who are able to get into that mindset and that character to be able to write about it. So I admire you a lot for that. Do you ever get scared at night, like when you're in your character while you're writing?
Well, if it's bugging me, I got to get up and get it out of my head. So that's just it. Especially when I was doing the serial killer books. That was definitely, I had to get it out. But generally speaking, no, I might hear a noise in the house every now and then and go, who's breaking in, right? Because you're
Because
always
you're in the
in that
mindset. Yeah.
crime mode, thinking everything's a crime. You're always watching for crime. You're out on the street and you see somebody suspicious. We have security cameras outside, so sometimes you look at the security feeds, and you're
Feel like
like,
there's someone there.
what is that guy doing there right now? He's parked on the side of the house. It's 2 in the morning. What's going on there? And then you find out, they're just parked. They sometimes maybe they're drunk. They just pulled over and they're falling asleep sleeping it off a little bit before they drive any further, which is
Right.
yeah. So then, did you consider yourself a pantser or a plotter, where you're not really? I don't know if you're really plotting, but when you were putting the book together, was it pretty much just kind of from the seat of your pants, or did you have some thoughts and you kind of wrote them all down and kind of put them together in a logical order?
I think that I put it, and I think I did it in stages.
Yeah.
And with a dress on, no pants. Just kidding. But so
Pants
the
free, huh?
I think that it was a long time coming, and I think that a lot of those stop. The one thing that I did think about when I was writing everything is that I feel like when we get older, we don't remember our childhood. And so when I was trying to think of like the stories and stuff from being a child, like I think it like brought me back to the era. Like you're like, oh, I forgot about that story. So I would always text my brothers and sisters. I was like, well, do you remember when that happened? Because I we forget a lot of our stuff.
Sure. You might see something out there, and it reminds you of something that happened when you're a
Hmm.
child.
Yeah.
Or if you go back to your hometown as well, that sometimes will bring up memories. If your high school, your old school, sometimes will bring up those memories as well. So yes,
Yeah. It's like deja vu.
yeah. Well, that's it. Checking on the dog, seeing what's getting
No,
it.
Ray's literally getting it. Ray, come here. Come here, little guy. He's the little kid. You should see it out there. It's a disaster.
Well, puppy, you said what, 15 months?
Yes. It's
Yeah,
definitely puppy. Come here.
yeah. You still got another year or so of that. So
Oh gosh, yeah, there's like a disaster out there.
I mean,
Just
so
send
you
all
said
the ants here to
you have
clean
a
up.
son. Is he your only child?
Um, oh wait,
Other than your
he's
dog?
shoot, hold on, he's like turning. I have two. So I have
Okay,
Jordan, who's my
so you
my
have
older one.
children, so you know how that works.
Yeah,
And they go through the
yeah.
stages. And you
No,
have a
Ray
son, so
Ray's the
yeah,
worst.
yeah, yeah. You'll have the stages with the dog as well. So it'll be different than children, but still
Yeah.
getting into everything, grabbing everything. You can't leave like a sock lying around, and they might grab it, clothes, everything. So that's the fun part of dogs. So do you have some thoughts on a book in the future? A book you want to write that you haven't written already, or it's something in the works?
I think I've been thinking about it to make it more general instead of like because the book isn't just for the deaf and hard of hearing community. It's for everybody who feels different and that want to belong somewhere. And so for me, I've been thinking about maybe writing one more for leaders and businesses and stuff and how we can be more inclusive in the workspace.
Sure. So something that you might like target, like you said, target of businesses. Part of their training programs or
Leadership,
whatever.
yeah, exactly, yeah.
Yeah. So have you ever gone in and spoken with any businesses about these things?
No, I think I've heard the sorry, Ray is a big menace. Ray, come here.
Those
The
leadership like retreats, the companies do sometimes, and they'll bring in experts and stuff talking about those things.
Yeah, I'll be talking at a Rotary Club in October in San Francisco or San Jose, outside of San Francisco. So that's going to be a pretty big one, and it's about being inclusive and trying to make people feel how we can be better at making people feel like they belong somewhere.
So you'll be giving a speech, or will it be
Yes,
a
I'm
kind of a
very
back and
nervous,
forth?
but I'll do it.
Yeah.
I'll be giving. I'm one of the speakers.
Yeah. Take questions maybe, hopefully, and stuff.
Hmm. Yeah,
Yeah.
questions and answers are awesome. And then I'm speaking at the Boulder Library next week, actually, which is it's over by CU, so it's part of their library system.
Nice. So you'll just be up the road from where I live. So
You should
Boulder's
go. August
well,
13th.
Boulder's where my next book is going to take place a lot of. So in my Private Eye series. So, but yeah, that's great. It's fun. And do you? So you have that type of book. So have you already begun writing that book, or is just right now just an idea?
Just an idea.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I just have to put it
Notes on the
in.
phone.
I know, right? Just put it into a piece of paper. I think that it's like I think whether like you're writing about real people or fictional, you always have to know that you can get there, because I feel
Mhm.
like for me it took me 15 years because I was thinking that I would never get there. And so I always thought like to myself, stop waiting for the perfect time, because like your story doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be, mine's nonfiction, so it's a little bit different. But I think that if you just take the time to write, and you can always edit it later. And that was like what I was telling you earlier. It's like one of the hardest part, because you can't edit a blank page, so you just have to write.
That's good. Yes, you can't edit a blank page. Pretty tough. And if you only got one or two words on there, there isn't much to edit,
It's
right?
not
So
working. Yeah.
you gotta have at least a few sentences, maybe a
Few
few paragraphs.
sentences on there.
So are any of your characters in your are there actual characters in your book, people, and are they based on people you've known?
They are they're based on people that I've known. So I think that's a good question. No, I think everybody in there is actually a real person that I've met throughout life. Yeah, so they've all been like real people who've gone through either experiences, dreams, hopes, and things like that. So I think that everyone has been. I may have maybe changed their name or whatever,
Yeah.
but they've all been based on somebody that I've known.
Did you do any interviewing of people and talk to them and kind of get their feedback, or is it just general people you've known and the conversations you've had through the years?
Both, I would say, and I was always careful to make sure that how I represented the deaf culture was correct, because I know I'm a CODA, so I know that I'm raised in the deaf culture, but to be actually deaf or hard of hearing is a little bit different. So I always tried to make sure that I got real stories of people who felt like that, and that I wasn't misrepresenting them in any way.
So we're about 6:40, 42 minutes in. So I always ask the question of all my guests, and yours is a little different being nonfiction, but I always ask the question, Bringing Life to Characters is the name of the book, or the story, not the book, the podcast, the vodcast. And in your case, your characters are kind of real flesh and blood people. So what did you try to do to keep them real, keep them interesting? Obviously, I mean, you could fictionalize them somewhat, but I don't think that's what you wanted to do in this case.
I think for me, it was trying to make everybody feel like they were their authentic self. And the one thing that I always told Rian growing up, because he was made fun of a lot for being gay. And I said, I always try to tell people, don't try to be someone else just to fit in. Um, that the things that make you different are often your superpower, and it's what you're going to be most proud of later. You might not feel like it at the time. And I always told everybody that your story has value. So for me, all the characters in the book, their stories had value.
Well, there's always a lot of pressure. Growing up, we all dealt with the pressure of being a certain way, doing certain things that maybe we
Mm,
didn't like. I mean, everybody had to deal, and that's it's always tough, and it's always a good you need to try to be yourself if you can, and if people can't accept you for that,
then
that's
yeah,
tough. It's always tough
yeah.
for anyone, especially growing up if you don't have a lot of friends.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that we were always outcasted for being different because our parents were deaf. And so and I started obviously my entire life, so I was already made fun of in the first place. So I
Right.
just think that if people can be more kind to other people, I think that that's where the value comes in.
Well, and I hate to admit it, when I was young and growing up, when I was around people who stuttered, or if I found someone that was different, sometimes I got uncomfortable. I mean, I did. And just,
Mhm.
I wasn't sure how to deal with it. I kind of felt bad about it afterwards. You know, it's like, well, why am I uncomfortable? So, do you have any advice for people who feel that way and how to overcome that?
I think I think that that's where it comes in that people are afraid of doing something wrong. Like people are afraid of the unknown. So I think that people don't try because they're scared of what it's going to come out of it. But if you just put yourself out there, and which is very hard for me because I'm actually shy in nature, and so if you put yourself out there and basically just try like that, you don't understand how you can change someone's complete path. Like if you gave them a smile or said hi to them. And so I think you just have to put yourself out of the comfort zone and just make you have to put yourself in their perspective. So how would you feel if someone did that to you? And I've always said. So for me, I've always tried to make an effort to make people feel good because I wouldn't want to feel that like that because I was made to feel that like that. And so I think that for me, you always have to just try to make someone feel good about their own selves, even if it does make you feel uncomfortable.
Yeah, I mean, it's silly to feel uncomfortable, but
But we do, yeah. You
yeah,
don't.
yeah, it's the unknown or whatever, and someone who has a handicap or whatever, and all that, and I've obviously grown a lot. It does not bother me anymore. I've had people come to my table when I'm doing events, and they're deaf, and so want to read, and they're like this, and I wish I could communicate with them. I wish to sit. Thank you. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, just thank you. This is how you say thank you.
yeah.
So
Just
now,
thank
now you
you.
know.
That's an easy one, right? Yes, I should.
Yeah.
But in the moment, I'm like, I don't know how to react
you're
sometimes.
you're you're nervous and you don't
Yeah,
know what to do because you don't want to make a mistake, and nobody has to be perfect, but in my opinion, just the little effort makes a big difference to anybody, to anyone.
yeah. So did your parents learn how to read lips?
My dad did not know, but my mom did, and I was taught to read lips. But that's like one of the number one misconceptions of the deaf and hard of hearing people, that they know how to read lips, and not all of them do.
Right. And I know there are some that don't, and some obviously will talk, will speak as well, and people obviously could make fun of that too because they sound different when they try to
Different,
talk
yeah.
because they're not hearing obviously through their ears like that. So, did your parents ever try to speak, or they were just pretty much just the sign language?
My mom spoke, but my dad did not, and so but a lot of CODAs will have to go to speech therapy, not for stuttering like me, but for like speech therapy because we learn to talk like our parents, and so because that's what we've always heard, and
Right.
so a lot of us will talk because they can't hear like the vowels, and they can't
Right.
hear the sounds. So like my name's Maria, but my mom always said Bewilka growing up, and that's how she thought Maria sounded like. And so for us, we had to like learn how to talk in English. Yeah.
Right. So I always give ask authors to advice about anyone who wants to be an author. Do you have any advice? And obviously, nonfiction's a little tougher sell than fiction, which I'm sure you've experienced, and we'll talk about a little bit that too. But what advice do you give to people who want to write a book, and maybe a nonfiction book that kind of deals with something maybe similar that's close to their heart, that like your stories are?
I think don't give up. And I feel like we are scared because it might not, you don't know if your book's going to be successful or not. I didn't know I was going to be a best selling author. And I think and that's what you want to aspire to be. So for me, you can't go forward, or you can't do anything if you don't try. And so like for me, it would be don't give up, like, because I think everybody's story and every non-fiction or fiction it has value, and we all love to, well, most of us love to read. So I love to read, but like there's your story can change other people's lives that you don't think can.
So what about marketing your book? What are the things that you've learned and have cost you money that didn't do a darn thing, and things that worked well to try to get your book out there?
I think that I think I'm still figuring that part out. So like you don't know.
I've been doing it for a long time, and I still have no
I know
clue
that's
how
I'm
to
like
do
I
it.
don't think you could figure that part out because
Yeah.
like you could do the ads and you could do all that stuff, but I literally think it's word of mouth. Like it's your friends, and that's how real estate is too. It's your friends and family, like everybody who's like within your net core, and it's always referrals. So I think that for marketing, it's like I mean obviously social media and stuff, but I just think that it's a good story that everybody's going to relate to.
When you do, when you go and speak, I'm assuming you're going to speak. You speak about the book. Are you there trying to sell books as well at some of these events that you've been speaking at?
Some of them I have. I'm going to on the Boulder one. The Boulder bookstore is going to be there
Hmm.
sponsoring it, but I I just autograph them and give them out because I feel like for me, like if you, my story is a little bit different because it is a nonfiction, but like if you, somebody who reads it, you can change their life and they're alive that day. I think that's what it means for me.
So I thought I saw on your website you've won a few awards for the book. Is that correct? I know you won some awards in your work for real estate. I've seen. How about the book? A good word of mouth.
I have. I was the first 24 hours that the book came out, I was Amazon's top new release. So I held that for a while, and then I'm still continuing to hold the number one best selling in some of the categories. I know that Amazon changes it all the time, but I've been still number one for a while.
Well, and I saw the ebook was only 99 cents. Is that a sale currently, or is that the normal price?
I've always left it at that because for me, it's not about the money; it's about changing people's lives.
Yeah. Well, it's a bargain for what people learn to read and
Or I
stuff.
better go in and raise it. Everybody get it right now because I'm raising it tomorrow.
Well, in Amazon, when it's that low, they take like 70% of this profit too. So,
Yeah.
which is one of my frustrations. I was asked that on a podcast where I was being interviewed the other day, and what would I would change? And I'm with Amazon and be like, all the money Jeff Bezos takes from us, he doesn't need my
Exactly.
money. Yeah. So you mentioned a couple of events you've got coming up. Anything else besides Boulder? So when's Boulder? You said it was this weekend?
Boulder is the 13th at 6 p.m. at the Boulder Library, and the Boulder bookstore is going to be sponsoring it or hosting the sale of the books.
And they'll be doing the sale there in the library then?
Yeah, we're in the event center,
Right.
the big studio in there.
And that's from 6 till 9 or so, or how long is
Six
it?
to I think 6 to 8. I should
And
know
you,
that.
and you get to sit up there and give a speech.
Yeah, we're gonna do a round table type setting, and then everybody can do Q&As.
And are you going to be signing at the same time, or have someone
Yeah,
sign?
I'm gonna have two interpreters there actually.
Excellent.
Yeah, so
Hopefully they're recording it
yeah, exactly.
to put on the
I have
web.
my son going there to take photography and recordings.
Oh, there you go. That's great. All right, so we got your website here, so we're going to throw that up here, and then your realty site as well. So raisedinsilence.com is your website, which is people can learn more about the book. There's a lot of interesting information on there about you and everything else, which I was stealing today to help me interview you. And then
Now you know. Thank
Gallucci,
you.
yeah, and Gallucci Homes is your business.
Yeah, it's my real estate site. Yeah.
And I have to ask you, since you're interested in murder mystery type stuff, Have you ever thought about writing a book about a real estate agent who solves crimes? You know,
That's a good idea.
there you go. You know,
I wish I was always like a detective.
yeah.
That's what I wanted to be growing up.
Well, you know, you never know that maybe someday you'll come up with that. All right. Well, we're just about at an hour. Anything else you want to cover or talk about?
Nope, I think that's it. Just
Okay.
come see me in the Boulder bookstore if you guys are. I mean, the Boulder Library if you guys are in town
Well, the
next week.
library the 13th. I'll have to reach out to you. I think we're going to be, well, we're actually going, actually the Friday before we'll be actually passing through Boulder because we're going up to Estes Park on our Spider motorcycles. So a family trip for us so that my
Sturgis.
daughter has one, my wife has one, and I have one. So we're going to drive up to Estes Park for the day if the weather holds up and it's not too crazy hot. So,
I know because Rian rides a bike too, and he hasn't been riding it because it's been so hot out here.
oh gosh, it's brutal, especially if he. I mean, hopefully he wears a helmet, and I
Oh,
wear a helmet in full gear.
yeah, he
Um,
wears full gear.
yeah, and that gets really hot. They have some cooling vests you can put on, and some other things that can help, but
I'll
they
have to get
sometimes don't always work, and you end up soaking yourself. Well, great. Well, thank you, Maria. I appreciate you being on the show. It was great talking with you. If we get a chance, we may try to pop in for the library and say hi on the 13th. Because yeah, it's just down the road from us because we live in
Yeah,
Westminster, so it's not that far. So, yeah. But
so much
good
fun.
luck with the rest of the book and your real estate career and the next book when you're ready to put it together. I doubt it'll take 15 years for the next one.
Yeah, no, it's gonna be a quick one. This one.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well,
Thank
thank you
you.
so much. Take care.
All right, bye.
Bye. All right. Thanks, everyone. Appreciate everybody on the watching the show tonight. As always, the show is available on YouTube and it will be on Spotify, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, and Apple Podcasts as well. My next guest will be next Monday, August 10th. I'll have Chris Underwood. Chris is going to be going to Killer Nashville, and he's up for the Silver Falchion Award, as am I. And he and I will be talking a little bit. We met there last year, and we're going to talk about his books and the event and some other stuff. So take care, everyone, and we will see you next week.